I've had to get really strict with myself and be like, okay, girl, you just spent the past hour scrolling and you're saying that's work, but is it really?
All right. I'm so excited. Our very first guest for season 3, Les Alfred. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Joy.
She is a media entrepreneur, a cultural storyteller, and she hosts the weekly podcast. She's so lucky. I've been following you for a while, and you also had my dear friend Taylor Rooks on your show as well. And I love your content. I really actually like your threads. If you don't follow, that's up there. I'm like, I feel like I get to know you through your threads.
My real thoughts.
Yeah, it's a very vulnerable space. Threads has become really, really fun. I'm so grateful that threads is having this emergence, because I did miss original Twitter, particularly Black Twitter. And when Elon killed it, he killed Twitter good and solid. I was like, man, I miss being able to like do what you do on threads.
And just get those thoughts out.
Do you find it like therapeutic?
Sometimes, but I just want to get stuff out of my head, and I sometimes don't want people to respond to it. Like, I don't want everything to be a conversation and a back and forth and people poking and tell me more. I'm like, no, I don't want to. I said this and that's it. I've moved on.
Yeah, it is. The bots haven't fully infiltrated yet, which is nice. I do get a lot of, this past week, people have not been very happy with me on threads, but
why?
I'm coming for the Christians right now. I'm coming for the Christians.
Holy week.
It's a holy week, and the set is not operating very well. I was born and raised in a Baptist church, so I have really deep trauma and thoughts, and I'm thoroughly educated on the church process. And when I say that, I mean minimum of 3 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week of some sort of church activity. So I was immersed in that experience, and I just think that they're not doing well right now. Black Christians, white Christians, Catholics, the fake Christians, the trad wife Christians, like, they need to get organized.
Yeah.
So they're not happy with me right now. But I really wanted to talk to you, speaking of all of that, like, how are you managing just not getting overwhelmed? Because we're all getting inundated with this like constant bad news all day. It's actually kind of hard to find good news. And because the bad news is so bad, the good news doesn't really even bring me any comfort anymore. So how are you handling all that?
It's hard. I mean, I think I try to toe the line between making sure that I'm well informed, but also focusing on what I can control. And it's a dance. And some days it's better than others. Some days then I do just go down the doom spiral of all of the bad news, because how can you not, right? And then there's other days where I'm like, okay, I know enough. Let me focus on what I've got in front of me, what I can control, helping the people that I can help. And that's the best that I can do. And it's a constant kind of dance between the two.
Where do you find peace? I know I get asked that a lot. Like, how do you find balance? Like, girl, none of us have balance.
Right.
But I take naps. Like, I am a shut my brain off person. Like, if I get overwhelmed, I'm like, all right, it's just, this feels like a good time to not be on earth. But how do you find, not your balance, but how do you find your peace?
I think I'm a pretty peaceful person naturally. I do think it is more so in my personality to be relatively centered. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily a very combative or confrontational person. I'm also not somebody who easily gets worked up. I mean, once I'm worked up, but it takes a lot to get me there. And so because I naturally kind of know my center, I have my little practices that keep me in it. I'm a big fitness girl, meditation girl, journaling girl. Like, those things kind of keep me in that center that I usually stay in.
Do you have a lot of hope right now?
Not really.
I mean, I don't. So it's not meant to be like I guess a judgy question, because I do not, and I'm desperately clawing for it. But
no, I mean, do I think that life will go on? Yes. Do I think that there has been a lot of damage done and it's going to take a lot of work to get to like a positive place collectively? Also, yes.
What's the biggest, I mean, it's hard to choose. There's so many so many options. But what's been the biggest shock for you? Because I think the biggest shock for me, and it has been very difficult to shock me, but again, I think it's the collective, not the collective. That's not true. I think it's the lack of like reaction to the people that are being most affected by it. Like we are really desensitized.
Yeah, I think everybody is kind of numb at this point as a coping mechanism. I think maybe what's most shocking for me though is like feeling like collective intelligence is moving in the wrong direction in terms of like literacy, media literacy, just overall like cognitive ability does not seem to be moving in the right direction. And I think that's what's the scariest of all. Like, I think in order to move forward in a good direction, it requires most of us to be sharp, and feeling like, ooh, a lot of people are not sharp right now and they're not getting sharper. And actually the goal of what's happening is to make people less sharp is what is really scary.
Do you feel, because I mean, I feel like I'm at an advantage being a Black woman because we've had to be excellent for so long that, yeah, the dummy part is not applicable, and they're not really coming for us right now. We're getting a little bit of a break in that regard. Yeah, I feel like in a weird way, I feel positioned well. Like as a collective society, we're probably all doomed, but like we have had to be so far ahead for so long that as all those things like reading and you know, business and financial literacy, like those things were not an option for us to not figure out and be great at. So I kind of feel like in an advantageous position.
Yeah, I mean, as well as just pattern recognition of knowing when the shit's going to hit the fan and how to cope with that. That's in our DNA.
Yeah. You know, I asked my therapist because I just, my algorithm is destroyed. It's just an insane place. And it's hard for me to just disconnect. Like I'm like clinging to the last thread of empathy that I have in my body. Because I just feel like so many people just do not act in their own interests, and they're overwhelmed by this groupthink, and it's just so frustrating. And I'm talking to her about it, and she was like, "You need to take a break." Like, but I was like, "But why are we not?" And she was like, "Because this isn't about Black women. This is not our fight, and we organize this shit." So we're not like. Did you see the viral video of the grandmother who was, or I don't know if she was a grandmother, but like the older white woman who was doing the interview?
Oh yeah, at the protest,
at the No Kings protest, and he was like, "There's no diversity," and she was like, "This is not about Black people."
Mm-hmm.
they didn't stay at home.
That was not the answer he was expecting. He had nothing to say.
He could not. That thought could not even have ever percolated in his smooth brain that this was not about us and other people are going to do this fight. But it really did gave me a lot of peace when she said that. Like, this is just not about us.
Somebody gets it. At
Yes.
least she does. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else.
Are you a therapy girl?
I go in and out. Yeah. I've been in therapy for the past couple of years. I'm actually currently on a break from therapy because me and my therapist just kind of decided that I was like in a good spot, and the things that we really wanted to work through when I started, we kind of got to a good place too. So I'm in a little bit of a break right now, but it's good. I've had my moments.
Yeah, I go through therapy breaks. I am not on a therapy break right now, but I actually have therapy later today. But I think sometimes with therapy, you reach sort of a plateau
Mm-hmm.
where, and I always know that I've reached that when I'm like, what am I going to talk to her about this week? Like, I don't really feel like rehashing my childhood this week. I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So like, let's take a break. Let's go make some more mistakes.
Give her some material to come back to in a few months.
see what else we need to revisit. Yeah, it is like an ongoing process. So I'm gonna pry. I don't know if you're gonna give me the answer or not, but I saw that you said you have some lofty goals for yourself.
I do.
I love this. I'm gonna steal this from you actually. So also follow her on TikTok. But your posts about earning your screen time.
Yes. It's been so helpful.
I'm gonna tell you, I watched it and I was like, you know what? She's right. Let me pick up my book. Haley gave me the what is it? What is it called? A Court of
Oh,
Thorns and
boy.
Roses.
Yeah.
I've joined the cult.
Yeah.
So I'm
You're in for a ride.
I'm in it now. Well, I usually read like really horrific history books, nonfiction. So I'm like, I gotta
Joy.
I know.
Glutton for punishment.
I know. I'm a glutton. So I was like, I need to just take a break. So I don't usually read fiction, but I'm gonna do that. But I literally watched a video and I was like, you know what? She's right. I'm gonna watch this video, and then I'm gonna put this down and read my book because I do like to read. But the reason I bring that video up is because you said you have some really big aspirations for yourself. Are they private aspirations? Are you sharing them?
I can share them a bit. And part of it, they're a little bit abstract. So they're not super concrete. Like I know a lot of us are raised to set, SMART goals where it's like specific, measurable, not really that, but it's more so moving in the direction that I want to be in. But I feel like in 2026, I have been on this or had a bit of a personal reckoning where I'm like, yeah, I've worked really hard to get to a certain point, and I actually don't think that I've worked towards the right thing. I've been so heavily in like the influencer space. And even as a podcaster, my show, I think a lot of people would still consider it as more of like an influencer show as opposed to a media platform, and realizing that that's actually not what I want to be doing and where I want to be. And I'm kind of in a point of like not burning it all down. I mean, I would love to burn it all down, but metaphorically burning it all down to kind of rebuild to my future state where I would like to be less of an influencer and more of an actual media personality. I want to be an author. I want to have a media company that does not revolve around what I'm posting on Instagram. And it just requires a lot of unpacking habits within myself, also unpacking habits within how the audience expects me to be, and building a new team that really understands my full vision. And it just requires a lot of focus. So I'm trying to be really protective of that focus right now.
Yeah, well, congrats, first of all.
Thank you.
That's a big revelation. And I feel like I'm going through something a little bit similar. I'm in like a completely new chapter, and it does require a lot of focus, which is why I love that you posted that, because our brains are so short now. Like I find my attention span and I'm like, no, I want and need to do this. Like I need to pour my energy into this. And then I'm just like, oh, it's a butterfly. Like I'm so distracted. And it's because our brains are now becoming conditioned to that. But it's like, how do you do that when your business now is being on those platforms that are scientifically designed by geniuses to keep you in that cycle?
Yeah. I mean, I've had to get really strict with myself and be like, okay, girl, you just spent the past hour scrolling and you're saying that's work, but is it really? Is that actually doing something that's helping to build your business? Is that actually doing something that's helping your audience, that's making you money? Or are you just zoning out, watching TikToks? And sometimes it's okay to do that, but not like all day. And I've had to get a little bit more strict with myself about what's actually moving me forward and what's keeping me distracted.
Yeah, I do that too, because I'm like, oh no, I need to get ideas,
I don't get ideas.
but I'm not.
No.
I get recipes.
I was just about to say that.
I'll save a recipe.
Yeah.
Save the little salmon recipe I'm going to try tonight. But yeah, it is. It requires a lot of discipline. And I think relearning discipline is important too. That's something that I'm really trying to focus on. It was my word for last year, and this year I'm really trying to be more creative, because I've felt that muscle go very dormant in me. And I also think that social media has played a big role in that as well, because rather than like actually doing it myself, I'm watching other people do it. And it like really requires something more of you. What's the thing? What's the thing that you're like, what's the next step?
I think the next step, at least for me right now, I'm focusing a lot on writing. So doing a lot more writing. I have such a love-hate relationship with the book The Artist's Way. Have you ever done The Artist's Way?
Oh, girl.
Everybody's done it. I've never made it through. I'm doing it again. I'm trying to make it through, but at least doing my morning pages each day to do actual writing, taking creative writing classes, because I really want to get a book deal. Like I would really love to be an author within the next couple of years. So I would love to get a book deal within the next year and start focusing more on writing, doing more Substack, like actually getting in the reps for that particular skill and re-strengthening it because I used
Mhm.
to be a good writer when I was younger and then I got on social media and my brain rotted, so I'm trying to get that back. So that's been like my number one focus is building up my writing muscle.
What kind of book would you like to write?
For my first book, I will probably do some sort of self-help because I feel like I I can get a book deal easier with that and it's a natural segue from the podcast.
Yeah.
Um but in the future I would love to write fiction and that's going to be the bigger challenge because I don't know how to do that. But I love reading fiction and it makes me so happy and like I love the idea of doing it and I have stories that swim in my head, but I'm like, okay, I got to learn how to get them onto paper. So, but that's for like a later, I don't know. I feel like in my 40s is when I'm really going to be in like my fiction era.
40s. I'm on the cusp of 40.
Yeah. Same. I'm right
Yeah,
there.
but I'm looking forward to 40. I had an amazing 30s. Definitely some ups and downs,
Mhm.
but I feel very much like a very present person. I'm always planning for the future, and it's always kind of there. But I think being present really helps you, one, set goals, but two, just really enjoy the experience of what you've worked for. Like you've built things, you've had experiences, you've had disappointments, you've had triumphs, and if you're constantly like living in a different space other than the present, you really don't ever get to enjoy those things.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that there's a balance of it too. And some of my thought processes might be a little more like toxic than people may think. I actually don't think it's bad to move the goalposts and to have something that you're working towards because at least I know for me, like that drives me. I like having challenges and I like rising to the occasion, but you have to be able to rise to the occasion when it calls for it and enjoy where you're at and have some sort of harmony between the two. But I also don't think that it's a bad thing to want to keep raising the bar and to see what else you have in the tank.
What's been the moment that you've been really like the most proud of?
Ooh. Um, I think being self-employed and like turning what I've been doing into an actual business that sustains me and sustains a team is probably the thing I'm most proud of. Especially because I didn't really have help with that. Like I didn't have a mentor. My family's not subsidizing my life. I don't have a partner subsidizing my life. Like it's vision and leadership that comes from me. And also I do get to work with great people around me who help with that. But it's been me and this noggin working stuff out. And even though I'm so far from where I want to be, the fact that I've even gotten to this point is something I'm really proud
No,
of.
it's an incredible accomplishment, and it's good that you feel pride in that. Sometimes I'm around people in the business and they're like, "Well," I'm like, I don't like that. Like
Yeah.
you did something. Like
Yeah.
it's not arrogance to say like I worked hard and I did this and I appreciate the work that I put into it. I appreciate the people that I work with,
Hmm.
that they believe in me, but like I figured it out and I'm proud of that. What's been the most disappointing?
Um, I think it's been a long road for me. I've never had any one moment where it was like something really popped off or that it was really quick or that it felt like I've made it. Like it still feels like every day is such a climb and to
Really? You
have
don't
been
feel like you've made it?
no, not at all. Oh my God. And so I still feel like sometimes there's still some times where I feel like I haven't made any progress from where I was at 10 years ago. And I know that's not true, but sometimes it feels like it. And that's what's most frustrating. It's like, damn, why do I got to be the person who has such a slow climb when there are some people who like pop off, in a year, in 2 years or whatever. But I think that's just not my testimony.
Well, I don't know. Like the landscape is changing so much. I talked last week about like the creator versus
Hmm.
journalist
I saw that.
conversation, and I have lots of thoughts on it, but I also believe that in the process,
Hmm.
and there's no substitution. There's no substitution for hard work, but there really is no substitution for experience.
Hmm.
And while I don't think in any way that the people that pop off quickly aren't working hard, the the skills that experience gives you they just can't be learned overnight. Like to be able to do a long form show, to be able to run your own business, to be able to right to be able to do live events, like whatever it is that your skill set is, you acquire over your time in this business, or for any business in that matter, because if you're listening and this isn't, media isn't applied to you, a lot of people can feel that way. And I felt that way definitely very early in my career. Like, wow, like this person's getting this opportunity and that person's getting this opportunity. And one of the things that helped me very early was understanding, like, that's not necessarily going to be your journey. Sorry if you can hear my stomach growling. I didn't eat yet. um, your journey is your journey for a reason. And one day I feel like you've made it, but one day when you have that feeling, you'll know why it took so long
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll feel that.
Yeah.
And you'll tap into a skill that you were like, why did I have to spend time learning this? And then it will, it'll really come to you. Do you deal with imposter syndrome?
Not as much anymore. It's very rare that I have an opportunity where I'm like, oh, I feel like I didn't deserve this, or oh, I don't feel good enough for this. I don't really feel that too often. No.
What's been your takeaway overall of the business? Because I people talk a lot about media and journalism in the creator space in a very negative way. There's negatives to every business to me. And it's just, it takes time to learn how to navigate it. But have you had that whole Hollywood experience?
What do you mean by Hollywood
Like
experience?
just hating the business. Like I there are times when I actually hate this business very much. But I love it so much that it's not going anywhere.
Sometimes I do get really frustrated by the bandwagonness of it all, where it's like people only think you're popping if other people are saying you're popping. I'm like, actually, my shit's been popping this whole time. You just didn't recognize it.
You're just new here.
Right, exactly. You're just seeing, I generated this motion and now you're trying to hop on now that the motion's here, but you didn't care before, you saw XYZ. That aspect of it can be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah,
sure.
it's a lot of people complain about transactional relationships. I actually think all relationships are transactional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't think that's a negative. Like, why would I be in a one-sided relationship of any sort?
Right.
Business, personal, friendship. It doesn't make any parent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
There has to be mutual transactions there. I think that people look at the situations that they're in sometimes that are one-sided and kind of paint a bigger picture of it that way.
Yeah.
What's been your experience working with women in the business?
I'm actually really grateful that I've had a lot of really good experiences, especially because my show, I interview all women. I mean, I'm at almost 400 episodes now. I've had 2 male guests.
It's amazing.
Almost 400. But I've actually had a lot of really positive experiences in terms of working with other women. And it doesn't mean that I haven't had some weirdness, but I also think, and maybe this goes back to what I was saying earlier about it taking longer to pop off. And maybe I am grateful that things are picking up for me in my 30s. Also being a little bit older, you just learn how to clock weirdness and have that discernment before. If I were in some of these spaces in my 20s that I'm in now, maybe I wouldn't have. But now I can just be like, okay, yeah, I don't like that. That's not for me. And I know how to navigate it better just with age.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill that you acquire. And it requires trusting your gut and trusting yourself also, which has taken me, I mean, it's still a journey I'm on with the self-trust, because if you have a bad experience when you did trust someone, it really, I think, at least for me, it's been hard to overcome that. You talk a lot about decensoring men. It's been the greatest experience of my life, decensoring men. And I think people have a kind of a messed up idea of what that means. So what does that mean to you?
It's funny that you say I talk a lot about decentering men, because I feel like I don't talk a lot about it. And that to me is the definition of decentering men. Like I think I did an episode about it a couple of years ago, mainly because a couple years ago it was just such a hot topic. And I'm like, let me get some content in with this keyword. But in even a lot of my content, what I talk about, I don't really talk about men at all. I don't really talk about my dating experiences that often. And that to me is the definition of decentering it, because it's like, I might do it. I might experience it. I have things that happen. those are for people who know me in real life, but like nobody out in the ether is entitled to that information. And I think for me, what that looks like in practice is I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. I'm going to go for the things that I really want, regardless of who is or isn't in my life. I'm not saving anything for later. If somebody might be around or waiting to hold off on something based off of who may or may not be there in the future, I just don't even really factor that into a lot of my decision making.
I think it's a really powerful thing to do, because so much of being a woman from birth is about men, whether it's how we dress or how we do our hair, or if we wear makeup or don't wear makeup, if we do our nails, or whether we go to school or not, or what kind of clubs we join. Like everything is about like getting or acquiring or having the attention of men, or not getting the attention of men. It's just always about them. Don't be too much of this because men won't, or don't do this too much because men won't, or don't do, if you don't do this, then men won't. And it is just like an all consuming experience. And I agree. It's really changed my life, because especially when well, for me, I had like a very traumatic childhood. And if you have trauma, that makes it even more difficult to, siphon off those attachments. I also saw you talking about not being messy, which I really wanted to talk to you about, because I don't know that I would be described entirely that way, but I am a very private person. And my personal life is incredibly private to me. It's incredibly important that it is private. It's not a secret. There's a difference between a secret and private.
Yeah.
The people that know me, and just like you said, the people that know me know what's going on in my life. There are lots of things I share. I share an enormous amount about my past, my childhood, my thoughts, my trauma, but there are certain things I don't want to share. And have you found that has affected you negatively, not being messy?
In some ways, I think especially in the current landscape, because the algorithm rewards mess. I think especially right now, I think during and after the pandemic, there was definitely a big shift, I think, in the online space, especially when it came to content that became a lot more salacious, a lot more think piecey, a lot more whatever can solicit an emotional reaction out of people the fastest is what gets celebrated. And naturally, a lot of those types of conversations, it's very easy to get people triggered and turned into keyboard warriors. So I do think from a work perspective, it has like negatively affected me. But that's also just so not who I am. Like I'm not somebody who walks around saying and doing shit just to get a reaction out of people. And if I were to do that, it would be so inauthentic and probably sound so weird, because I don't even know how to operate that way. And it doesn't mean that I don't like mess. Like I love tea. I love a little gossip if I hear it, but I'm just usually not the person to deliver it.
Right. Or give a follow-up loud opinion about it.
Yeah.
I feel you on that so much. Like doing things that are inauthentic to you. It's like, and if you have an audience, people know right away. It feels very like, why is this here? Why are you okay?
It wouldn't even sound right.
Do we need to check on you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's well, how do you navigate being, I guess, having relevant conversations and infiltrating those spaces of conversation without the mess?
It's hard. I mean, and I do think a lot of what I talk about is evergreen. So I don't really do like coverage of current events. Naturally, in conversations, it will happen. And I think in the conversations I have, it's always coming from the lens of being like a conscious person with what's going on. But I don't really do like hot topics. Here's what's trending. Here's what happened this week, so on and so forth. So I think because that's not really the nature of what I do, that lends itself well. And I think a lot of it has just been training my audience for knowing what they can come to me for. So it's like, if you're looking for a hot take on what happened on Love is Blind, I'm not your girl. But if you're looking for a good book recommendation and you need some tips to like help you get your money up, they know to come to me for that.
Yeah, and you have to have a trust with your audience too. Like that's very important.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on the current gender war that has been drummed up for the past couple years?
I think.
Do you go to Cheesecake Factory?
Do I go to I haven't been to Cheesecake Factory in so. I do enjoy a Cheesecake Factory.
I don't think I've been to Cheesecake Factory since near
I
me.
know. I'm in New
I know.
York
I know. I
City.
do love Cheesecake Factory.
I do too, but it's more
I
of
just
a
haven't
like
been there.
suburban thing. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm in New York City. I don't even know where the closest
Yeah, it
cheesecake
would
factory. I have to
actually
go to New
be
Jersey to get a cheesecake
sacrilegious
factory.
for you to go to Cheesecake Factory in New York. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's a pilgrimage you don't need to
Yeah.
make.
But I don't even know if like the gender war is real. I feel like so much of it is conversations, kind of what we were just talking about, that get drummed up online for engagement. But I do think in real life, I don't think people actually talk to each other like that as much as we would be led to believe. I think most of it exists on the internet for engagement.
I absolutely agree. Like I think, well, first of all, you have no problem getting attention from men.
Most of it I don't even want. They
Of
can actually
course.
keep.
Of course. Of course. So, and what I mean by that is like the boisterous, like I would never blah blah. That's not, no one acts like that.
Yeah.
No one is walking down the street like, oh my God, she has different toenail polish than her nails. Like I could never. Like that sounds great on Twitter, but it's just not applicable in real life. But I do think that there are some parts of that have infiltrated politics. Certainly, there's a wild like movement of attack on feminism every time someone brings up feminism. And outside of the internet, I have to like adamantly remind them that like you are talking to a feminist. Make no mistake about it. I am a businesswoman. I wear what I want. I have my own bank accounts. I own homes. Like I own property, car. Like I vote. All of those things are a result of feminism. Whatever your particular version of it is irrelevant to me.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on, I guess, that, like on just how feminism as a whole has been sort of I don't know if it's been rebranded or just like stolen.
Yeah, I mean, I think what a lot of people, when they say they have beef with feminism or whatever, I think their real beef is with capitalism, but they misplace that towards feminism.
Mm-hmm.
I am all for women having as much power and autonomy in their lives as possible, be it personally, professionally, financially, reproductively, whatever that is. Having a level of agency and choice to control your own destiny and do what you think is best for you. I do think sometimes there are conversations, and again, my algorithm is just all full of like women. So I do see different perspectives of it where it's like, oh, I'm tired of going to work and these feminists fought for you to work. No, women are going to be working either way. Because of feminism, you're allowed to get paid and actually keep it and to have life-saving measures in place if you get into a hairy situation. But you're going to be working regardless. So really your beef is with late-stage capitalism, not feminism. And I think we're all tired. Wouldn't we all love to like relax in a field and eat berries all day? Would love that. That is not the world that we live in.
Right.
So,
or that was designed.
Yeah, that was designed from a lot of different things. And so I think a lot of it's very misplaced.
Yeah, I agree. It's and words matter, and like we started talking about it, like the ability to have intellectual conversations with nuance is just not available on the internet. It's why, platforms like yours are so important, because it's a space where you bring in experts, bring in people that aren't trying to conjure up beef or, arguments and animosity, and just giving like pure information. I feel like there's actually like more of a war on information because we're just in such a post-truth society, which is terrifying.
Yeah. And education and literacy and like all of these things. That's what's terrifying.
So I struggle with this a lot, and I've actually been straight up told like you aren't what you do. And I don't know, I just disagree with that. But how do you separate your identity from your career?
I don't know if I do. I think like work is a big part of my life, but it's because I've worked really hard to create work that I enjoy, and I do work that I believe helps people. Like if the girlies who listen to my show tune in, take something from it, apply what they learn, it makes their lives better. Like that is my whole mission, is to create or content that helps, if applied, make someone's life better. That is a big part of my identity. And I'm okay with that because I know my why, which is to help my audience improve their lives. Not necessarily to like support the bottom line of some multi-gazillion dollar corporation, which again, we all kind of have to play a role in. And I know I have brand partnerships and stuff that do have to help that. But to me, that's what funds at the end of the day, helping my community that rallies around me. And that is a big part of my identity because why not? Like I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. I created it so that that could be a big part of my life. And I feel pretty unapologetic about that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, also your work is what you do every day, like
Yeah.
for actually most of the day.
Yeah.
So how can you separate the two? What advice would you give someone who isn't doing something necessarily that they love and struggling with that identity crisis?
I think it's also okay to not be doing what you love all the time because there's also aspects of what I do that I don't love
Right.
all the time. Like every week when I'm sitting down to record ad reads, I'm like, oh, I hate this. But that's what makes it all possible.
Correct.
But I do know when I had jobs outside of self-employment that I could not stand, then it was like the things that I did outside of work mattered that much more. That was when I really honed in on my wellness practices and spending time with friends and spending time with family and just making sure that that time outside of work, even if I was tired, even if I sat in traffic, even if I didn't feel like it made showing up for those things that much more important.
Yeah, that's the true balance, I think, because we've all been in spaces where we're doing things we aren't inspired by. The only thing for me is if I spend too much time in an uninspiring place, I will lose it.
Yeah.
Like I will have you ever seen I think is it Joy? Is it that emotional movie? Where like the ghost people Inside Out. Oh, Joy is the main character. Inside Out. Yeah. Like the ghost people are like, oh no, it's not Inside Out. It's Soul.
Oh,
I'm mixing up the
Soul.
Pixar movies. Pixar. The Lost Souls. I feel like a lost soul. those like big giant things that are just roaming around, like they've lost their creativity and their inspiration.
Oh, I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that big time. But I think it depends on how you handle that. Because for me, when I felt that, that was motivation to get out and do something else. But I think when you sit in that space for too long and you just fester over it, but that doesn't inspire any sort of movement, that's when it gets really tedious.
Yeah, I completely mixed up those Pixar movies. I was like, one of these deeply emotional Pixar movies that's probably too much for children is what I'm conjuring on. But how did you feel any, I guess, shame in reinventing yourself? Or like moving in a different direction? Did you feel any grief over that?
It was hard, I think, especially when I was in like my mid-20s. Well, backing up a little bit, I started my career in the most corporate of corporate environments straight out of college. I worked at this large, super corporate, super boring company for like 5 years, and I hated every minute of it. But I felt very pressured to stay there because my family was like saying, this is going to be really good for you. Stay here. You never leave. This is good, whatever. But I just knew that it like wasn't right for me. And so when I finally 5 years later did decide to leave that company and start doing different things in my career, I struggled a lot because I just felt like I was letting a lot of people down. And also just the environment that I came from, it was seen as like, that's as good as it gets. And so if you're dissatisfied with that, then like you're ungrateful. Like, who do you think you are? You went to college when not a lot of people around you did. You got this good job when not a lot of people around you did. What more could you want? But I knew that there was more meant for me. And so it took a lot. It took all of that 5 years to be like, no, I want more. I'm willing to get it. And it's okay for me to want more. And it doesn't make me bad or ungrateful. Once I got over that first hurdle, then it's just been on from there. Then it was like, okay, whatever. Now I'm not afraid to pivot, try something else, do something else, reinvent. Because at the end of the day, like I'm the one who has to do this stuff. Even for that quote unquote great job that I had that my parents loved, they weren't in that cubicle with me. They weren't sitting in 2 hours of traffic each way to work for me to get to that office. They weren't sitting in these meetings where I was the youngest person there and the only Black person there and people were talking to me crazy. They weren't. I was. And so I had to be like, yeah, this doesn't work for me and I'm going to find what is. And if other people don't like it or don't understand it, they'll come around or not, but I'm the one experiencing it.
And that's really brave. I think brave is like a word that people throw around a lot and that it has a lot of weight to it, but it is brave. Like when everyone around you is pressuring you to stay in a situation that you're unhappy with, whether it's a job or a relationship or a friendship or even family, it is brave to break out of that.
It's hard.
And
It's
you're taking
really
a
hard.
risk.
Yeah. But I think you learn to trust yourself. And I had to learn it's not that if I take a leap or if I do something else, I know it's going to work out perfectly, but I trust myself enough to figure it out regardless of what happens. And then once you have that self-trust, then it can take you anywhere.
Did you have a lot of anxiety when you finally made the
Oh my
decision?
gosh, so much. Yeah. Yeah.
And
For
where
a
did
while.
you put all that?
I think I channeled a lot of it into exercise because fitness was also a big part of my background. I had side jobs in fitness for most of my 20s. Even when I started creating content, it was very wellness focused. So I would channel a lot of it into wellness. But I just knew I had to try. Like I saw where not trying and staying in a little bubble and staying in the same setting got me. And I knew that I didn't want to waste any more time doing things that didn't work for me. So it got to the point where I was more afraid of staying stagnant than I was of failing. And once I got to that point where it's like, even if I try and fail, it's better than not trying at all. It was so freeing.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
I mean, there's endless content, and I'm sure you've talked about it on your show and books about taking the leap.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, like, everybody doesn't have to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-mm.
Everyone doesn't have to have their own thing. But whatever it is that you want to do and are inspired to do, if people are pushing you in a different direction, you do have to trust yourself. And there's also just knowing there's a practical way of doing things. Because I've had friends that have just jumped out the window on things, and I'm like, whoa, like I support, but like let's make sure the finances are right first, and like
Right.
let's make sure we have a plan.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that you're in the right mental space to activate this plan, because there are going to be some hurdles and stuff. So I think there's a practical way of doing that. That's just the Capricorn in me, I guess. But I do think that once you have the plan, just breaking through that wall and trusting yourself, and just also knowing, like, if it doesn't work, you can get another job.
Yeah.
Like, you can get another relationship. You
Mhm.
can't get another, parent or brother or sister, but like you can cultivate relationships that are positive for you. And you are the one. Like, that's the point that you made that really should, I hope, cut through for people. You're the one that has to experience this.
Yep.
And this is your life.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anyone encouraging you to do it?
I did have a boyfriend at the time who I dated for most of my 20s who was really supportive of that and was very encouraging, for sure. Yeah. So that was helpful.
That gave you like comfort and confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is your circle like now, for your support circle?
My support circle. I mean, my family has definitely come around. Now they get it. So thankfully, my parents are very supportive. I have a younger brother who's like very supportive, very encouraging. I have a nephew who's 2 who, funny enough, he's cool with me when I'm back home and we hang out. He's so uninterested in like FaceTiming me, but he will sit and like watch my podcast episodes. He's way more interested in watching me on YouTube than he is if I'm like on the phone trying to talk to him directly. So that's his little version of support.
That's cute. We love those views. Nephew.
Thank you, nephew. But I also just have really great friends, and I have friends who do similar work who I can go to and like vent and who get it. And then I also have friends who don't at all, who I can just be normal with. And I think that it's so important to have both.
Female friendships have been just the cornerstone of my life. And I feel so lucky that I have a really wide web of strong female friendships. And I've had horrific experiences with women, just like I've had horrific experiences with men. But I think, especially our generation, the support of like women and women being in the same spaces. I mean, obviously, like, Taylor and I, MJ, and I have so many other friends in the space, that just having someone that you can call and they're not going to judge you
Mm-hmm.
for saying the thing that if you said out loud somewhere else would get you crushed. Like, how has that been for you?
So helpful. So helpful. You just got to have those people who you can go to. And you also got to have the discernment of like what stays in the group chat or what stays with friends, and then what you can share outwardly. And, but I do think having people who I know that I can vent to, who get it, is so helpful.
It's the world. And it's the little things. Like, it's
Mhm.
the times where you're like, why did she get that job? Which you have no business feeling that. but you need someone to be able to say it out loud to, and then them be like, that's not meant for you. Da 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 da. Or like, and it sounds like haters shit, but like, listen, we're all human beings. Like,
For sure.
we go through moments where we're like, I wanted that, and I needed that, or I worked so hard for that, and it feels unfair. Or I feel like I'm being overlooked, or even just venting about things that are going on in your life that are affecting your business. Is having women friendships is it is. Yeah, I feel so lucky. What advice do you give young women who are coming into the business? Do you get asked that?
I do. I mean, I think a lot of it is around, I think people ask the wrong questions oftentimes.
What do you mean?
Like people will be so focused on, well, I want to start a podcast. What microphone do I get? And I'm like, who cares? What do you want to say?
Something that records sound.
Yeah. I'm like, whatever you can afford, just whatever. You're focusing on the wrong thing. What do you want to say? And why do you want to say it? And who needs to hear it? And why are you the person who needs to deliver that message? And do you know who you are enough to know what message you need to deliver? Like, I think those are the types of questions that people need to be asking. But also, those are the questions you have to ask yourself. Like, I can't answer that for somebody.
Right.
They have to be able to be a bit more introspective. And I do think that a lot of people get so focused on the external or thinking that less has the answer to my problem. And I probably don't have. You probably have the answer within yourself, but you just have to be quiet and still enough to listen to yourself. And sometimes just try shit. And sometimes it won't work. And then you try something else. But feeling like this person who might be a few steps ahead of you has the answer to something, we probably don't have the answer, actually, because we're just trying stuff too. We've just been trying stuff for a little longer.
Right.
And people would be so much more served by doing than sitting around and waiting for somebody else to give them the answer to something.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of what you're saying aligns with what I always tell people, which young people, you need to know what you want to do. And in a creative space, whether it's media or podcasting or, acting or whatever, like there's so many different jobs in this space. And the answer is going to be found along the journey further down. If you don't have the inspiration to say, I want to do this thing, there's just too many options. There's too many ways to get distracted. You're not training to be a doctor. You're not training to be a teacher. Like there are traditional jobs that have these ladders and these systems in place for good reason to make sure that you're qualified for these particular positions. There's nothing to say that somebody can't just roll over and start the podcast of the year because they're wildly interesting and they're doing it from their couch. Like that's how the world is now. So, but you have to know what you want to do. And I think knowing who you are is really important. Do you feel like you have a good sense of self?
I do. Yeah. Especially now. And I think a lot of that's come from just, again, like I guess I'm moving into my late 30s now. So I think so much of that comes with age and with experience and living in different cities and doing different things and trying different things and realizing what feels good and what doesn't. But I've also had to learn to let myself evolve. And I think that when you're younger, especially like your early 20s, you're a new adult, you think you're so grown and you think you know everything. And the older I get, the more peace I have in not knowing everything and being willing to learn and having the flexibility to evolve and learn. So while I do feel like, yes, I have a good sense of self, I also know that my current form is not my final form, and there will be so many versions of me to come, and I'm really excited to meet those versions too.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's a sign of intelligence, that you know a lot, but what you don't know is so much more infinite. And in these times where that's constantly being attacked, and in our business it's attacked a lot too, it's good that you have that sense of self about you, because so often I'll run into people, and especially like it happens a lot in the sports space, which is obviously the other half of my career, where it's like you change your mind, like, well, I got new information.
Yeah.
Well, what are you talking about? Like, as if they come out and tell me that this thing is actually horrible for you, and there's all these years of studies and all of this information by experts and people that are well beyond my scope of something, I'm going to listen to that, or I'm going to apply that, or now I know. Okay, so do you not listen to the weather? Like, they told us it's going to rain today. So I'm going to bring an umbrella.
Yeah.
Like, I have new information.
Yeah. Sometimes you just change and your interests change. I don't know. When I was 10, I was obsessed with soccer, and all I wanted to do all day was play soccer and watch soccer and think about what soccer players were doing. now I don't really care that much about soccer because I'm interested in other things and we change and we evolve. And I think also sometimes when you have more of a public platform, how people meet you is how they want you to stay. And they have a really hard time seeing the evolution in other people, but yet always want that grace for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's yeah.
I think that's
tricky.
what I think that's what child actors go through a lot, is that they like people see them as these children, and then 5 years later they're now adults and they can't, their brains cannot adjust. Like, why are you not a child forever? Like, this is the way that I like
They
you.
literally cannot be.
Right.
Like,
That's kind of the goal is to get older. Do you fight because in all of that, something that is so frustrating to me is everyone wanting to define you. And so you do not have the space to be a multi-hyphenate. Do you deal with that a lot? Do you have to fight that?
Yeah, it gets so annoying when people tell me what I am or who I am. I'm like, you don't know. You don't know what I do. You don't know what I am. You don't know what I'm capable of. You don't know what I think. You saw a 5-second clip of one thing 5 years ago and you took it and you ran with it. But I don't think it bothers me to the point where it affects the decisions that I make, but it gets more annoying than anything else.
Yeah, I find it very frustrating in business. I run into, they're like, okay, well, can you just define, like, what do you do one thing every day?
Right.
I know, and it's difficult for maybe sales, but like get creative, like people do actually do multiple things. I also think it is, not to bring men into the conversation, but it is something that is very specific for women as well. Like we have to always fit into a box.
Yes.
And when a box expands, it has to be a box that everyone is comfortable with. So you're now a wife, or you're now a mother, or you're now this, or you're that. And there's these like cubes of things that you have to stay in. And if you're going to cross over, why does it make sense that you cross over? And then it becomes the idea of like women having to have it all. And I don't have a desire to have it all. I have a desire for peace and happiness.
Yeah. And I think the definition of like having it all kind of changes because like your all might be different than my all. I've also experienced that a few different times in moving to different cities, as we were talking about before we were recording, how I used to live in LA and now I'm in New York. And every time I would move cities, people would be like, well, why did you move? Was it your job? Was it a partner? And I'm like, no, I just kind of wanted to. I just like this city and
why
have the
not?
flexibility and decided to check it out. But the idea that like a woman can make decisions that aren't solely based on something outside of her is like foreign to so many people.
Yeah, and it's, again, I think it's also important what you do because establishing yourself as a woman that has a purpose and doesn't need to be propped up. And listen, it always sounds like you're like attacking marriage, you're attacking children, or you're attacking family. Like it's not about that. But showing up as a woman in herself and her own purpose is important because you're a whole person.
Yeah.
And you can make those decisions and choices on your own.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it's for those things, especially when it comes to things like marriage and children, I've always been kind of on the fence of them of like, if it happens and it feels good to me and it feels like that's the next step in life that I want to take, great. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to hate myself. But people get really uncomfortable when you're a woman who does not have those things and does not hate herself because we're supposed to be in this constant pursuit of it and to feel down bad if there's certain things that we haven't done yet. And I just refuse to do that.
Well, it's a very fearful space because it's traditional. So if you're not doing the traditional thing, then you're just this riotous Jezebel that
or it must mean that you like hate the family. And I'm like, no, I just haven't done it.
Also, what I do has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Like it really, really, truly doesn't. You can have your own existence completely outside of me, and I can be happy for that experience for you and even participate in that experience for you. So you're a fitness girly. What is your take on this this kind of like scary skinny that's going on right now?
Yeah, it is scary. I mean, I think that there's different sides of it. When you think about something like the GLP-1s and how popular they've gotten, like I also have people in my life who those have really helped, who had really unhealthy relationships with food, health concerns, and like in moderation, medications like that have really helped. And then I also know people who have issues with body image the other way, where it's just like wanting to shrink away as much as possible, which is deeply concerning. And so for me, it's like I try not to really make comments about people's bodies either way. If something's changed, if something's not, like to maintain a space of neutrality for myself and other people as much as possible. I also know that I have a lot of privilege in the sense that I've always been kind of a smaller person, and I don't know what it's like to experience something like an eating disorder, or to experience what life is like in a larger body, because you are treated very differently and life is very different. And so I don't know what any of those experiences are. I've always kind of existed somewhere in the middle, which is a big sense of privilege in and of itself. But I think ultimately I just want people to be healthy and to make the best decisions for them. I do think it is scary that we're seeing some of the kind of celebration of what appears to be like emaciated figures again, because it was like, damn, I thought we got past this,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But what goes up must come down. But then it's also like, that's also kind of shitty that people's literal bodies are not fashion trends that go in and out of style. Like it's our bodies. It's how we live. So yeah, I don't know. It's concerning, but I try to not perpetuate it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Like, a person's body is a person's body, and in general, I don't even have thoughts on it. Like, in general, I just don't think about what's going on with people's bodies.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that is of no concern to me.
Mm-hmm.
As long as people are healthy.
Yeah.
And it is difficult to say, you look at someone and say, okay, you're healthy or you're not healthy. I'm like, are you their doctor?
Yeah.
You don't know anything about it. What's I guess what's concerning to me is, there's all these societal pressures that are being put on everyone to fit into these boxes that are literally physically impossible for everyone to fit into. And it like, from a celebratory standpoint, it's a little unnerving. And as a woman who is coming into, a different aging phase, my body is constantly coming up with new fun things for me to deal with. Like, I'm like, all right, I guess this is new. Like, I have to adjust to this now. And I'm just happy to be healthy, like, genuinely. And I, there's so many things that as a younger woman, like, women would say, and I'd be like, oh, please, girl, like, whatever. Like, you always want to be fit. Like, yeah, I would like to be fit, but I'm healthy, and that is not a thing that everybody can say.
Yep.
So from my fitness journey, that's where I am right now.
For
It's
sure.
like, as long as I wake up and feel good, I'm cool with, you're getting whatever body I brought today.
Absolutely. And I even think, I mean, again, this is going back to like me maybe focusing a little too much on work, whatever. The way I think of it is like the practices that I do daily that are wellness related are training me to go do that. Like, I'm recording 3 podcast episodes today. That's a lot. So yeah, I got up and I worked out this morning so that I could have the focus and the stamina and the energy to be able to do what it is I need to do in a day. And if I feel strong and if I feel good, that's great. That's a bonus. But for me, it's literally training me to do the things that I need to tackle in a day.
Yeah. You have 3 today?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, she's working.
When I'm in town, I got to make it count.
Yeah,
so I fit it in, you know?
fit it in.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But do you ever feel like, because I'd be tired after talking, and I love to talk. It's my favorite thing to do. But I like need silence.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to hear a peep when I get home. Nothing. No music. No sounds.
Yes.
Just want to sit there, and sometimes I'll turn the lights off.
Yes. I want to be in my little introvert bubble after this week, for sure.
Are you like one of those? I absolutely. What is it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's like
The ambivert?
ambivert.
Like where you're both?
Yeah.
I'm definitely an introvert. I'm like a social introvert. So it's like, do I have social skills? Yes. Can I talk to people? Can I go be social and enjoy it? Absolutely. But I do hit a point where I need that recharge time.
Yeah, I'm the same. Well, I like being around humans less than actually like talking to them. I want to like observe. But I definitely reach a point too where I'm like, okay, my battery is out. Like, people who know me, they'll be like, I can literally see the end of the battery go, and then you're just like, you don't talk anymore. Like, it's time for Joy to go. Well, before you go, how is your spirit? How are you feeling? Where are you, just emotionally right now?
You know what? My spirit actually feels really good. Last night, I was on the phone with a friend of mine. We were kind of catching up because we'd been playing phone tag for a while. Q1 was like really rough for me. it was just, yeah, it was just like a rough couple of months. I left my immune system somewhere back in 2025 because I kept getting sick.
Oh no.
The winter in New York was just like really tough this year. And like I was going through a lot of work things and just experiencing a lot of rejection and a lot of setbacks. And so I had a rough start to the year. But I do feel like now that we're into spring, it's Q2, I have just felt a renewed sense of energy where I'm feeling just a lot more optimistic about the things in front of me that are within my control. And so I feel good. My spirit's in a good place, but I'm glad kind of the seasons have shifted.
I feel you. That winter in New York was something, girl.
Yeah,
like I
rough.
could not. I've done my winter time. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so it's not for me. But I'm glad you're coming into that new spring phase. I don't know who was talking about it. I was at Sundance and someone was talking about how like the winter really is. We don't operate in the way that winter is supposed to be. Like winter is supposed to be for rest,
Yep.
and we just work through it. And spring is actually when the new year starts. And it really had me thinking a lot about that we don't take the rest that we need. And yeah, like the spring should be the awakening time. And so I'm so glad that you're experiencing that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
Such
me.
pleasure. I was really excited that you agreed to, because I've been following you for a while. And I love what you do. So make sure that you follow Les Alfred and you go and subscribe to her podcast, She's So Lucky, and all the other things that she has coming up. And when her book comes out, you go buy it. But for now, follow her Substack.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anything that you have coming up that you want everyone to check out?
No. I mean, just new episodes of She's So Lucky every Tuesday. And yeah, people can follow me on all the socials, like you said, at Les Alfred.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you're looking for really just a positive, uplifting, informative, and I just feel like you're very kind.
Thank you.
I was on my best behavior with you today, girl. I am usually cussing up a sailor storm.
You could still cut. That's the thing. I do think people think that I'm potentially more wholesome than I am. Just because I'm not messy doesn't mean that I'm like super wholesome. So you can cuss, you can do whatever.
Okay. Well, I fucking loved having you.
Thank you.
But yes, check out She's So Lucky Pod, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.